Mic check 1 2. It's the Y2K collector coming at you on a beautiful Saturday morning. A lot of you are familiar with limited run. A lot of game collectors who collect modern games for consoles like the Switch, the PlayStation 4, PS5, even in some cases like 3DS, and so on. You're familiar with the company Limited Run, and Limited Run is a company that's really, the basis of it is they make physical games in an era where physical games are going away. And they do more than just, make the cartridge or the disc, but they also make sure that in the majority of their games, they're including a manual. Sometimes you'll get something a little bit extra. They also offer limited edition bundles where you can get the actual game itself, whether it be a disc or a cartridge. You can get a manual, you can get an art book, you can get, little trinkets here and there. And so they've really just built their name and reputation on being one of the last, I guess, major producers of physical games. Now, the thing with Limited Run is I don't think that they actually make their own games. Typically what they do is they either re-release retro games that were released in the 80s and 90s, and in some cases even in the early 2000s. And they just kind of re-release them in a format that fits modern consoles for today, typically the Switch, the PlayStation 4, Xbox One. Now, Limited Run has gotten a lot of hate. I don't think they're as much of a fan favorite as they used to be. And I think in a lot of ways, Limited Run has lost a lot of their, their perception of being kind of like an exclusive maker of games. Like having a Limited Run game today, I don't feel like it means what it meant back in like, say, 2019 or 2018. When limited run games actually felt like limited. And so over time, I think they've kind of watered down their brand a bit, making themselves available, in Best Buy and Amazon and things like that. And I think they just tried to recreate a feel that is really original to true limited retro games. And what I want to talk about is a company called Working Designs. And they were in my opinion, like one of the original limited run style companies, because they produced games, obviously in a physical format, but a lot of what they did, like from whether it be their artwork to their discs to their manuals and their special editions, everything that they did was with high quality. They used high quality paper, they used high quality materials, and a lot of the games that they produced were fun and, most importantly, original titles. So they weren't like, Working Designs wasn't recreating games or remastering games or re-releasing games. Every Working Designs game that we have today was an original Working Designs game. And so they had that limited and exclusive appeal, which rings true to today. Now, there are a number of, YouTube channels that can give you a full breakdown on the history of Working Designs and all of the games that they released across all of their systems. And there are Working Designs games on the Genesis, on the PlayStation. Let me see, when I say Genesis, sorry, Sega CD, PlayStation. I know they've got Working Designs games that came out on the PlayStation 2, and I'm sure there are Working Designs games that came out on other consoles, but I wanted to just talk about some of the Working Designs games that I have in my collection, and also talk about if making it a mission to collect all of the Working Designs games is worth it now in 2024. Is it worth trying to collect all the Working Designs games? So before I get into the small collection of Working Designs games that I have in my collection, I do just want to preface that a lot of Working Designs games today are expensive, especially the older the console, There are working designs games like, for instance, Sylphied. Sylphied was made by Working Designs and released on the PlayStation 2. I don't think that that's a very expensive game. Last time I checked, I think Sylphied on the PlayStation 2 was maybe like 25 to 30 bucks. But a lot of the Working Designs games that you'll see on older, like 6th gen and older consoles are gonna be more on the expensive side. So just giving you a heads up on that. But the caveat to that is that they made some of the best games for the genres that they dabbled in. So if they made shoot 'em ups, in my opinion, they were some of the best shoot 'em ups. If they made RPGs, they definitely made some of the best RPGs, classic RPGs, definitely. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop jabbering and blabbering and kind of show you some of what I've got. So first game up by Working Designs that I have is Raystorm. Now, funny enough, Raystorm was actually re-released, I think by Limited Run. They re-released this game in a compilation package, but this was originally released by Working Designs. And just to kind of show you what I mean when I say like the quality and stuff like that, typically Working Designs games, like their manuals will have like this debossed or embossed type of printing on their manuals. So they're usually like a little raised, and they usually had like this gold metallic style trim around the writing, and they always had their classic logo Working Designs on there. I've had this copy of Raystorm in my collection for forever, so it's a little dinged up, but usually the quality of the materials, like the art books, are way better material than what you would see in like a normal, like regular PlayStation game. And then same thing with the disc. The discs usually have like really beautiful artwork. They're printed on there really nicely. And Raystorm is just an amazing shoot 'em up. It's a top-down shooter, great music. A lot of the music that I use in my more edited videos actually comes from Raystorm. So this is one of my favorite Working Designs games for sure. And then right behind it, you have its little brother. You have Raystorm, and then you have Ray Crisis. And Ray Crisis is another pretty awesome shoot 'em up that was released on the PlayStation 1. Ray Crisis, again, to me, it's a lesser version of Raystorm. Still a fun shoot 'em up. I just don't think the music is as good. But again, you see that really awesome, like, you know, what's the word, font that they use there, and the way they just make the game's artwork is always top tier. So this is another pretty amazing shooter on the PlayStation 1. So Raystorm and Ray Crisis, and you can actually get these on a compilation cartridge for the Switch or on the PlayStation. I think it was the re-release was released, I think, by Limited Run, but you can pick it up at like GameStop or anywhere. They got like a general release. Speaking of RPGs, you have Alundra for the PlayStation 1. So Alundra, funny enough, is a really good example of just like the dedication that they took to like producing quality artwork. Like, look at that. There's like this reflective like material that they use for the cover of this game that you see here. And honestly, they say that this is supposed to like be the rival to like Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. This is supposed to be as good. This is basically a top-down action RPG. I believe it's an action RPG. I didn't play a ton of Alundra. I actually bought this years ago when I thought I was gonna start playing RPGs and realize how much just time they take. But the music in this one is actually really good, and that's the thing about Working Designs games. They usually have really good music and really good artwork. So I just love the cover art on this one. But this is a pretty awesome RPG on the PlayStation 1. And then this was an RPG. Now, I'm not a huge fan of like tactical RPGs and stuff like that, but I did like how the gameplay on this one looked, and that's Vanguard Bandits. Now this is like an RPG, but once you get into the battle mode, you kind of fight in this like larger like battle style mode in this like kind of like what looks like a kaiju format almost. Kind of reminds me of Xenogears. I'm not sure if you've ever played Xenogears, but if you ever played Xenogears, that's what this game kind of reminds me of. Never got the chance to dive too far into this one, but Vanguard Bandits is as well is another cool RPG, and they're definitely known for their RPGs. I'll say that. But the action games that Working Designs did come out with were pretty tight, and a great example of that is Silhouette Mirage. Now, in my personal opinion, I think Silhouette Mirage is one of the best looking Working Designs cover arts I've ever seen. I love the colors. I love how the neon pink and purple clashes with the yellowish gold. I think it's just a beautiful cover art, and this is a really cool game. This is kind of like a side-scrolling run and gun shooter, but the gameplay on this one is a little tricky. You have Silhouette and you have Mirage. I think they're represented by two different colors, red and blue, and there are some enemies that you can only attack when you're red, and then some that you can only attack when you're blue. You have like different moves that you can master in this game. It's a pretty cool side-scrolling action game for sure. Definitely unique. And the beautiful thing about a lot of these Working Designs games is that a lot of their games offer these really cool cutscenes and animation scenes that I think are really cool. So definitely a good one to check out. And there's probably more Working Designs games on the PlayStation 1, but those are some of the ones that I definitely like. I've only got a couple of Working Designs games on the Sega CD, and I'll show those to you. So the first one that I have here is Lunar 2 Eternal Blue. So you have Lunar 2 Eternal Blue on the Sega CD. Really cool game here. In my opinion, I think that this one has a really good cover art on this one. Just look at that reflective lettering there. This is another RPG. This one is definitely more story based. When you play these games, you feel like you're playing like an anime. You play as Hero with the little miniature flying dragon. I believe he's like an archaeologist. He's kind of like navigating through caves, and the story with this one is really deep. I'm not even going to try to start to explain it. Again, there's a lot of other folks who can kind of dive deep into these stories, because I'm not a huge RPG fan. But these are the RPGs that I have in my collection. Like the bulk of the RPGs in my collection that you see here are what you're looking at. Because I don't really collect RPGs, but the only ones that I actually have are from Working Designs. Funny enough. Next one up that you have here is They. I know nothing about this RPG. I actually picked up They and Lunar during a trade. I was actually trying to consolidate a lot of my collection 2 years ago, and I took a bunch of games to one of my local retro game stores, and the trade credit that they offered me was much better than the cash value. So I used the trade credit to pick up like a lot of high dollar games that I figured I'd sell. Because picking up high dollar games and selling those beats taking less cash. But I actually wound up keeping these two in the collection. One, because they were in like amazing condition. Both of these games are in like really good shape. And two, because I do eventually want to like try and get into some of these RPGs when I have some time, and I will have some time on my hands. I do have a surprise for the channel that I'm going to share, but I will have some time on my hands, and I will have more of an opportunity to play more of these games and make more content. So stay tuned for that. All right, last but not least, I'll share this with you. The last two Working Designs games in my collections are my most recent pickups, which were Lunar Silver Star Story and Lunar 2 Eternal Blue. So I have two versions of Lunar. I have Lunar 2 on the Sega CD, but I also picked it up yesterday at GameStop. This was $40. For any of you that know, all the Lunar games are really expensive. They range between $200 and $350. So getting this for $40 was a really great deal. Picked it up on trade hold. It had all 5 discs, so all 4 discs for the game. It also had the soundtrack. It also had the manual, and it also had this little box of goodies here That includes the pendant. It includes the cardboard tags. I guess you're supposed to use these little dog tags with the map, and it also included the map. The map looks like it had never been taken out because it's in like tip-top shape. So I know that when it comes to like the Lunar series, it's like finding all of the components can be tough because there's like so many components to this game. And I had always told myself that I wouldn't pick it up unless I was able to get all the components or get it at a really good price. What's missing from this pack is the actual just the case for the games, and then the overall box that you put it all in. I'm hoping that eventually I'll be able to run into those two, hopefully at a nominal price, to be able to Frankenstein this together. And then when it comes to Silver Star Story, I think the only thing I'm missing here is the case, the overall box, and then I think a map comes with this one as well. So I'm hoping to be able to Frankenstein this one together. This one was $60. So to be able to get both games and the bulk of their components for roughly $100 was pretty good in my opinion. Both of these games together complete around 600 to around $600 or so. So hoping to be able to knock these out. But these two are the latest additions to my Working Designs bundle, and I'm pretty sure I have some other Working Designs games floating around in my collection somewhere, but these are the ones that really just were at the top of my mind and stood out to me. Let me know down in the comments if you have any Working Designs games in your collections, if you think that they're comparable to Limited Run in any way, or if Working Designs is just leaps and bounds ahead of Limited Run. Are the two comparable, or is Working Designs the true limited edition company? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. It's the Y2K Collector. Hopefully you have a good day getting your game hunting on and you're able to find some gems. Don't be afraid to check out GameStop because they've got some bangers lately. I don't know what's going on, but they're cleaning up. Alrighty, you guys, take it easy.